I returned home, late to an eerie silence in Goiânia. The usual sounds of life were gone. No barking dogs, no music, just fear. A government notice was stuck to my door. Do not leave your home. Await instructions. My heart pounded. What was happening? Neighbours peered through curtains, faces pale with worry. No one knew what was going on, just rumours of a strange illness. The radio was static. The phone was dead. We were cut off. Helplessness set in. How do you fight something you can't see? I looked at my family, unable to answer their questions. This was a new kind of wilderness. Our city had become a trap. Sleep was impossible. Every sound made my blood run cold. Goiânia, once vibrant, was now a quarantine zone. The warning on my door was a line between the life we knew and a terrifying new reality. We had crossed it without knowing. The disaster had already begun. The fight for survival had started. The city was holding its breath, waiting for answers. We were at the mercy of an invisible enemy. The silence outside was the sound of fear settling in. I realized nothing would ever be the same again. The world had changed overnight. We were trapped, waiting for the unknown. The only thing left was hope and fear. The warning was more than paper. It was a sentence. We were all prisoners now. The city's heart had stopped. The fight was just beginning, and we were right in the middle of it. It started in an abandoned clinic, where two scavengers, Roberto and Wagner, found a heavy machine. To them, it was just scrap, money to be made. On September 13th, 1987, they broke in, loaded the machine onto a wheelbarrow and took it home. They spent hours breaking it apart, focused on the lead casing. They had no idea they were opening Pandora's box. Inside, they found a small metal capsule. When they punctured it, a deep blue light glowed from within. Mesmerized, they scooped out the glowing powder thinking it was something valuable. They touched it, rubbed it on their skin, and shared it with friends and family. The glowing powder was pure death, radioactive cesium-137. Unaware, they spread the powder around, poisoning themselves and others. The capsule was taken home, shown off as a curiosity. The blue glow was beautiful, but it was a silent killer. The men had no idea they'd unleashed a deadly force in the heart of their city. The powder was passed around like a toy, contaminating everything it touched. It was a source of high-level radiation, now set free. The city's fate was sealed by a piece of forgotten junk. The disaster had begun with a simple act of curiosity. The invisible poison was now loose. The blue glow was spreading. No one realized the danger. The city was being silently poisoned. The junk wasn't just junk, it was a ticking time bomb. The men's innocence was gone. The first victims had already been marked. The blue powder was on the move. Goiânia would never be the same. The true cost was yet to be seen, and it all started with a piece of scrap. The glowing powder travelled from hand to hand, a deadly curiosity. Roberto sold the scrap to De Vea Ferreira, a scrapyard owner. De Vea was captivated by the blue glow and took it home, making it a centerpiece. Friends and family gathered to admire it, unaware of the danger. De Vea's 6-year-old daughter, Lida, played with the powder, rubbing it on her skin to sparkle. The powder spread through the house, on furniture, clothes, food. The family lived inside a radioactive bubble, oblivious to the threat. De Vea's brother took some powder home, hoping it might cure his sick daughter. Instead, he contaminated his own home. The powder travelled further, on shoes, clothes, buses. The invisible poison moved through the city, street by street. The blue glow was beautiful, mysterious, and utterly deadly. People were drawn to it, not knowing it was as dangerous as a loaded gun. Cesium-137 was incredibly radioactive. A tiny speck could cause terrible harm. Here, large amounts were handled like dust, shared like a gift. The gift brought sickness, pain, and death. Goiânia was falling in love with its own executioner. The blue glow was the colour of doom. The city was being poisoned, one touch at a time. The beauty of the powder masked its lethal power. The disaster was spreading, unstoppable. The blue glow was a siren's call. The city was under its spell. No one was safe. The true danger was invisible. Within hours, the first victims fell ill. Vomiting, dizziness, weakness. Doctors were baffled, treating them for food poisoning or infection. No one suspected radiation. At the scrapyard, De Vea's family grew sicker. His wife's hair fell out, her skin burned. Little Lyde became terribly sick and was hospitalized. Doctors saw severe symptoms but missed the cause. More people fell ill, all linked to the scrapyard. The sickness spread faster than understanding. Victims' bodies broke down. Their immune systems collapsed. Horrific burns appeared. Pain was unimaginable. Families watched loved ones waste away, desperate for answers. The invisible sickness was a mystery, a silent killer. The city's health system was overwhelmed. No one could stop the spread. The true cause remained hidden. The city was in the grip of a medical nightmare. The sickness was everywhere, but the enemy was unseen. Panic grew as more fell ill. The invisible plague was relentless. Goiânia was under siege from within. The breakthrough came from Maria Gabriela, De Vere's wife. Despite her illness, she brought the radioactive source to a public health office, declaring, "This thing is killing my family." A doctor called a physicist, who arrived with a Geiger counter. The device went wild. The invisible enemy finally had a name: radiation. The alarm was raised. Panic set in. The government scrambled to respond. Thousands lined up at a stadium to be scanned for contamination. Families were separated, possessions destroyed. The city was under siege, not by an army, but by poison. Entire neighborhoods were locked down. Teams in protective suits demolished contaminated houses, scraped away soil, and cut down trees. The city watched as homes and lives were torn apart. Goiânia had become a war zone. The enemy was invisible, but the destruction was real. The cleanup was desperate and chaotic. The city's heart was broken. The fight was for survival. The poison had changed everything. The city would never forget. The battle lines were drawn. The enemy was radiation. The city was fighting for its life. The siege had begun. The human cost was devastating. The first to die was 6-year-old Lydidas Neves, buried in a lead-lined coffin. Protesters, fearing contamination, tried to block her funeral. More deaths followed. Her mother, 2 scrapyard workers. 4 died in the first weeks, but hundreds were contaminated. Many suffered severe burns and lifelong scars. Survivors faced stigma. Treated as outcasts, the psychological trauma was immense. The long-term effects linger. Cancer risk, constant medical checks, fear for the future. The radiation left a ticking time bomb inside survivors. Children of contaminated parents were monitored for years. Goiânia carries a permanent scar, a legacy of pain and loss. Over 6,000 tons of radioactive waste were collected, soil, buildings, belongings, all transported to a concrete tomb on the city's edge. The site is now a park, a permanent reminder of the disaster. It's a monument to the price of curiosity. The blue powder's legacy endures. The city's wounds are still healing. The cost was more than lives. It was trust, safety, and peace. Goiânia will never forget. The lesson is written in concrete and sorrow. The true price was paid by the innocent. The cleanup was monumental, one of history's largest decontamination efforts. The enemy was invisible dust, hiding everywhere. Teams identified hotspots, the scrapyard, victims' homes. 7 houses were demolished, every piece treated as radioactive waste. Workers in protective suits braved intense heat, using vacuums and acid to remove contamination. Topsoil was scraped away, trees cut down. The city looked like it was being dismantled. The psychological cleanup was just as hard. Fear and stigma lingered. Goiânia's name became synonymous with radiation. The economy suffered. People avoided the city. The government launched campaigns to restore confidence. But fear is harder to erase than dust. The waste's final resting place is Cesio 137 Park, a man-made tomb beneath grass and trees. The radiation will remain dangerous for centuries. The park is peaceful now, but hides a deadly secret. It's a silent warning, a reminder of the disaster. The cleanup ended, but the memory remains. The danger is buried, but not gone. Goiânia's story is a lesson for the world. The city survived, but the scars are forever. The blue glow's shadow still lingers. The cost of carelessness is eternal. The Goiânia disaster was more than an accident. It was a failure of the system. A radiotherapy institute abandoned a machine containing cesium-137 in a derelict building. No one informed the authorities. The site was left unguarded. legal disputes kept the machine in limbo for years. A security guard was posted, but not told about the danger. Eventually, the site was open to anyone. Regulations existed, but enforcement was weak. The National Nuclear Agency had no idea the source was missing. There was no tracking, no inventory. The system designed to protect the public had failed. Negligence at every level, clinic owners, legal system, regulators, led to disaster. Technology is only as safe as the people and systems managing it. When those systems break down, the consequences are horrific. Goiânia was a victim of radiation and human error. The disaster exposed the cracks in the system. It was a warning to the world. Safety is not just about rules, it's about vigilance. The cost of failure is measured in lives. Goiânia paid the price. The Goiânia disaster was a wake-up call for the world. It showed how easily a dangerous radioactive source could be lost, how orphaned sources haunt the nuclear age. Thousands exist worldwide, hidden in old hospitals and factories, waiting to be found. Medical and industrial devices use powerful radioactive materials. When not disposed of safely, they become ticking time bombs. All it takes is one to fall into the wrong hands. A scrap dealer, a curious child. The story of Goiânia could happen anywhere. Since then, similar incidents have occurred in Thailand, Spain, India. The pattern is always the same: lack of security, awareness, and regulation. We rely on fragile systems to keep us safe, but those systems have holes. One moment of negligence can poison a city. This is not just a problem for developing countries. It's everyone's problem. The lesson: vigilance is essential. We need better tracking and security for radioactive materials, from creation to disposal. Education is key, especially for those in the scrap industry. Goiânia's tragedy is a warning for the future. Hidden dangers can lurk in the most ordinary places. The fight for survival isn't always in the wild. Sometimes, the most dangerous wilderness is the one we build ourselves. The ghosts of the nuclear age are always with us. We must not forget. The story of Goiânia is a call to action. The world must listen.